So somehow we're less than a year away from Nintendo's live-action Legend of Zelda movie. Production is wrapped. They've announced Link. They've announced Zelda. They've changed the release date multiple times, and we don't have a trailer. Now, if you've been trying to keep up with the movie, I don't blame you if you're confused, because it's honestly feeling like Nintendo is revealing this thing one tiny little Triforce piece at a time, while the rumor mill is just doing what it does, trying to fill in all the blanks. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy, your Chaos, and today it's all about Legend of Zelda. News, updates, confirmations, leaks, rumors, any information that we can squeeze out of this turnip to see what this movie is actually going to be like. Yes, I read every single comment on every single video, and this is random, but I'm going to throw it out there for you guys. If any of you are interested in golf, if it's something you do, if it's a passion, if you like YouTube golf, anything like that, go check out the Jimmy Golf's channel. I'm going to put a link at the top of the description. I would love to see you guys over there. We are on a journey over there. Now, what's funny is if you spend 5 minutes online looking at Zelda movie news, you're probably walking away thinking we know way more than we actually do. You'll see people talking about the trilogies, the casting rumors, specific game adaptations, leaked footage, all kinds of theories. But when you strip it all away and you focus on what Nintendo has confirmed, it's actually simple. Which isn't a bad thing. The story is simple. Honestly, I think that's what makes this movie so interesting right now. So let's go back to where it all started. Nintendo officially announced the live-action Zelda movie back in 2023. Immediately caught people off guard. A lot of fans assumed if Nintendo ever made a Zelda movie, it would be animated. And that seemed like the obvious move after the success of Mario. Instead, Nintendo revealed this would be a full live-action adaptation with Wes Ball directing, and Miyamoto producing alongside Avi Arad and Sony Pictures handling worldwide theatrical distribution. So right away, that told us Nintendo wasn't treating Zelda like another Mario-style animated adventure. They were aiming for something completely different. Scary, but different. Now, since that announcement, Nintendo has been incredibly selective with information. In fact, I would argue they've been more secretive with Zelda than most major blockbuster franchises. Instead of doing what Hollywood normally does, constant interviews, teaser campaigns, leaks, convention appearances, trailer drops, they've relied on their own channels. Whether it's Nintendo Today, investor updates, official social posts, or direct company announcements, they have kept a very, very tight grip on the information flow. That's important because I think it really explains why every single piece of Zelda movie news feels way bigger than it probably should. So take the release date situation. Let's talk about it first. Originally, the movie was scheduled for March 26, 2027. Then Nintendo pushed it back to May 7th, 2027, and they cited production reasons. Naturally, the internet does what it always does. Immediately started speculating that something was wrong behind the scenes. Then just when everyone got used to the new date, Nintendo surprised everybody. They moved the movie forward to April 30th, 2027. So yes, as of right now, the latest official release date is April 30th, 2027. Now, normally, a release date moving around isn't that big a deal. Movies shift all the time, just like video games. But because Nintendo has been so quiet about everything else, every schedule change means a massive talking point for us. People start wondering, are there problems behind the scenes? Are reshoots happening? If the studio isn't happy with the film, are they going to avoid competition? Are they going to cancel it? The reality is we don't know. What we do know is that high-budget fantasy movies require an enormous amount of visual effects work, and schedule adjustments can just as easily be about polishing that final product as they can about fixing problems. Then came arguably the biggest confirmation we've gotten. Nintendo officially revealed its Link and Zelda. Benjamin Evan Ainsworth was cast as Link, and Bo Bragginson was cast as Zelda. Honestly, I think this tells us a lot about Nintendo's plans. I do. They didn't go out and cast massive Hollywood stars. I appreciate that. They didn't chase the biggest names possible. Instead, they chose young actors who could potentially grow with the franchise if the movie finds success. That doesn't automatically mean the trilogy rumors are true, but it definitely makes those rumors more believable. Then, toward the end of 2025, Nintendo finally gave us our first real look at the movie. Official images were released showing both actors in costume, and at the same time, we also learned production was underway in New Zealand. New Zealand is an awesome place. Think Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings. Those images instantly sparked debates about which Zelda game the movie might be inspired by. Breath of the Wild fans thought they saw Breath of the Wild influences. Twilight Princess fans thought they saw Twilight Princess influences. And honestly, that's where a lot of Zelda movie discussion is sitting right now. So the important takeaway or thing to remember is that Nintendo has never officially said this movie is adapting any specific game. That's a big, big takeaway. It's a big distinction because we could spot similarities all day long. They don't mean we're looking at a direct adaptation. For all we know, this could be an entirely original story set within Hyrule that borrows elements from all the games. They haven't told us. And then earlier this year, we got another major update when Sony reportedly confirmed during CinemaCon that production was done. Finito, wrapped, ended. Think about that. The movie isn't just entering production. It's not just getting started. It's finished. That means the project is likely moved full into post-production, visual effects editing, sound design, everything else needed to prepare a major fantasy blockbuster for release, which brings me to what actually might be the most interesting thing about this entire movie. Wes Ball's vision. Because despite all the rumors, despite all the speculation, the director's comments remain some of the clearest we've gotten about what this film is trying to be. He's repeatedly talked about wanting something that's serious and cool, but also fun and whimsical, and the comparison that keeps coming up is the idea of a live-action inspired fantasy rather than simply making Lord of the Rings with Zelda characters dropped in. I think that's a bigger clue. When most fans hear live-action Zelda, they immediately picture a darker fantasy world. They picture giant battles, Ganondorf conquering kingdoms, armies marching across Hyrule, something that leans heavily into realism. But Zelda has always been a little stranger. It's adventurous, it's mysterious, it's magical, sometimes it's downright weird. One minute you're fighting ancient evil, and the next you're helping some random character find chickens that escaped their farm. That's part of the charm. So if Ball can somehow capture that balance, I think he could be onto something special. Now, let's talk about rumors. It's getting messy. It really is. The first rumor that refuses to die is trilogy talk. The idea is that Nintendo is already planning multiple Zelda movies, and actors potentially lined up for years if the first film succeeds. Is it possible? Absolutely. Is it confirmed? Not even close. But if you look at the casting choices, and you look at how Nintendo is expanding beyond gaming, I get it. Mario made a ridiculous amount of money. Nintendo clearly sees value in building a movie business right alongside its gaming business. If Zelda works, there's no way they stop at one movie, and this is pretty normal to pre-plan ahead of time. There have probably been a lot of movies that had trilogies planned, but they flopped, and we never saw them. Then you got all the speculation surrounding supporting characters. Impa rumors, Ganondorf rumors, fan castings, leaked set footage, people trying to identify actors from blurry photos taken from half a mile away. The problem is, none of it's confirmed. Could some of it end up being right? Sure. But right now, most of it's just educated guesswork, I guess, I guess you could call it internet detective work. And the same thing goes for the endless debate about which Zelda game is being adapted. Every time a new image appears, people dissect every piece of the clothing, the hairstyle, the background. They try to connect it to Breath of the Wild, Twilight Princess, Ocarina of Time, or maybe their favorite game in the series. Mine is Link to the Past. I get it. Zelda fans love lore. But Nintendo hasn't officially attached it to anything, and I honestly think they're not going to. I think this could end up being a collab of multiple Zelda games in a unique story. So maybe instead of asking which game is being adapted, maybe the better question is whether Nintendo wants to adapt a game at all. Zelda has one of the most flexible timelines in gaming. Multiple versions of Link, multiple versions of Zelda, different incarnations of Ganondorf, entirely different versions of Hyrule. Nintendo has they have a built-in excuse to tell whatever story they want. That flexibility could be the most advantage they've had, because if you try to adapt, let's say, Ocarina of Time, I mean, people would complain about every detail you change, right? If you adapt Breath of the Wild, fans are going to argue left and right. If you adapt Twilight Princess, someone's going to be upset that it wasn't Wind Waker. But if you can create a new Zelda story that pulls inspiration from all of them, that's a big one. It is. I know the story's crazy, the secrecy's crazy, but I think they have a plan here. And then, look at it this way. If Zelda succeeds, suddenly Metroid becomes a possibility. Star Fox becomes a possibility. Heck, Kid Icarus becomes a possibility. Nintendo suddenly has this entirely new entertainment division that extends beyond games. If Zelda struggles, that's a different story. So let me know what you think. I mean, what we don't have is a trailer. We don't have a full cast reveal. We don't know who Ganondorf is, which is just as important of casting as Zelda and Link. We don't know what the story is. We don't even know how close it's going to follow the games. But what we do know is that it's wrapped filming, and they are keeping an absolute lid on this thing. If we get any new updates, I'll keep you guys posted. Let me know what you want from this movie.